Right, we're live on YouTube. So, Lynn Castaldo, this mic is all yours, my friend.
Welcome, everyone. Um, and Ralphie, your quote before about shifting just brought this to my mind. It's from David Hawkins. It is only necessary to shift from devotion to the world to devotion to God and the Spirit. So that word shift has really been um, coming up this week for me. So we are here to read The Annihilated Self, Consumed by the Fire of Love by James Twyman. And let's see, where are we? I believe I'm on page 97, which is not the start of the chapter.
Okay, what chapter are you in?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look for you.
Okay.
Chapter 10, I am, but I'm a few pages in.
Okay.
So it starts out with at the top, soul, but what about service? What about my calling? If
Oh,
there is no me, who is it that serves?
all right. Let me go back because I must have passed it. Okay.
Um,
Beginning.
no, it
Okay.
might be. Are those pages that you're going through?
Yeah, sort of, but because the font is so big, the pages are, uh, they're not the same at all. It'd be like if you had the big version.
But we're close to 12 pages in.
Okay. All right. All right then. Okay. Then that's probably about 24 pages in my book because yeah, the it's so big. Uh
Right. Yeah.
so
What about service?
I am oh this is such a great book. I love this
Isn't
book
it?
so much.
Oh my goodness. And you know, James recommended reading The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown,
You
Uh-huh.
just went
who,
by it.
Oh,
You went
thanks,
by it.
Mike.
I saw you went by it. What about service? Go back.
oh,
No, go back the
Oh,
other.
back. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll tell you in a minute.
hang
No,
on.
A little bit farther.
No. Okay. There we go.
oh, right there.
There it
Hey,
Okay.
is.
there's a bookmark there too. Huh. All right.
So, James recommended The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown, who is also, the author of the Da Vinci Code and all. Oh
Yes.
my goodness, what a powerful book. It's amazing how he does his research too, because all these other little bits of information that he adds in are
Uh-huh.
true. They're factual. So it's fascinating to read some of it around the story. And then it gets you wondering, like, how much of the story is really true, too. So I couldn't put the book down. It was
I love
amazing.
Dan Brown for that because yeah, he really I loved the whole Da Vinci Code and all of his books really so interesting because he
Oh,
does do research.
you,
So
yeah, you would love The Secret of Secrets.
oh,
So I'm glad James brought it to our attention. So going back to the annihilated self, he says, Soul says, but what about service? What about my calling? If there is no me, who is it that serves? Love returns. There will be motion. There will still be grace flowing through hands and feet, but it will not be effort. It will be expression. No more calling, only responding. No more agenda, only attunement. This is not the end of action. It is the beginning of pure action. And yesterday Regine was talking about integrity. It'll be pure action of integrity. And Soul says, I think I've always believed I had to be worthy of you. That is, if I didn't try hard enough, you wouldn't come. I can so relate to that. I had to do 110%. I had to make sure that I really, really worked hard and every minute was taken. And love responds, that is the last illusion to fall. I do not come and go. I am not earned. I am not convinced. I am. And when all the noise quiets, you know this deeply, that I have been here all along. There is no distance, only the dreaming. Only dreaming. Just think about that. You do know that deeply. Deeply within, we know. We have that knowing. Soul replies, then why the dream, love? Why all these veils? If you are all, why did I forget? And love responds, forgetfulness is part of the great unfolding. Without it, there can be no return. Without veils, there can be no unveiling. What joy is there in dawn, if not for the night? There we go with duality again, right? But now the night has passed. You have broken open, not by failure, but by love's insistence that it be all. And in the ruins of the self you thought you were, the radiance begins to rise. Love's insistence. You're not broken at all. We think of it as duality. We think of it as, good versus bad. But it's that going back to that again, all is well. Everything is used for purpose. I was reading how John the Baptist, when he was beheaded, and martyred, that seemed to be the worst. And yet so much has come from that point. And he pointed the way for Jesus. And I keep coming back to that word shift. It's just a shift to know the peace of God. That's what came to me when we were doing that meditation. It's just a shift, and we can know the peace of God. So Soul says, then let the stream dissolve. Let every image of me fade. Let love love, and let me no longer interfere. Because isn't that what we do? We interfere because, I love this lesson today. I am concerned. I interfere with what is. And if I just keep reminding myself that it's just an attack thought on myself, that thought is robbing my peace. How beautiful. And then, as the discussion went today, it was, I'm the dreamer of the dream. How did I do this? What makes this happen? And then take responsibility. I have a joke going with my husband because he's very impatient, especially in the car. And I could drive somewhere and have no hassles. He's in the car, and no matter which way, there's always more traffic, more congestion, maybe a really slow driver, And I say to him, it's because you're in the car. Yeah, we're the dreamer of the dream. So love says, so it shall be. Now walk in the world with lightness. Speak when love speaks. Move when love moves. Prefer only love and watch all preferences bow in reverence. Wow. And I think I forgot to share, as usual, please join in anytime you would like. You could just unmute yourself. Prefer only love and watch all preferences bow in respect. Even your longing now is holy, not because it brings you closer to me, but because it draws your attention toward the intimate, unshakable embrace that could never be interrupted. Let that longing, then, be the altar upon which you place your true self, and I will receive it with joy. And I do have that saying, you know, probably going back to the nuns, just put it on the altar. I can't handle it right now, but put it on the altar. So, and that's what she's saying here. Let that longing then be the altar upon which you place your true self, and I will receive it with joy. Let that longing be your altar. Let every breath be the incense. Let the temple be this very moment. Go ahead,
I'm
Stephen.
sorry, Stephen has his hand up.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Stephen.
I loved when you were reading about the darkness before the light and the contrasts. And, every breath, when I exhale, what happens is there's an accumulation of carbon dioxide, which stimulates the in-breath. I recently learned about how trees at the leaves at the top evaporate, and it creates an imbalance of pressure, which pulls the water from the roots all the way up to the top of those trees. There's so much, it's all working. And for me to go, uh-oh, there's an imbalance in the trees. No, this is the way things work. How beautiful. Thank you for bringing out the contrast in the world. I'm complete.
Thank you for sharing that. That's fascinating. Yeah. You know, um, the course lesson, we don't know what anything is for. And here there's such a balance and it works so perfectly. So I'm going to read that one more time. It says, let that longing be your altar. Let every breath be the incense. Let the temple be this very moment, stripped bare of striving. We don't have to strive. Did you want to add something, Stephen?
Well, just the longing itself shows a certain process, which requires, like the thirst, makes the water drinking so much more refreshing. That's all. Thank you. And I'll lower my hand.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, it all works together for our good. So Soul replies, and when the world forgets me, when I am no longer recognized or affirmed, Love says, then rejoice, for you will have been set free. When the world forgets your name, you begin to remember mine. When there is nothing left to reflect back to you, you become the mirror of me. Live not to be known, but to know. Not to gather, but to give. And not to give, but to be given. Poured out like wine from a cup that is endlessly empty, endlessly full. Oh, that is beautiful. I'm going to do that again. When there is nothing left to reflect back to you, you become the mirror of me. Live not to be known, but to know. Not to gather, but to give. And not to give, but to be given. Poured out like wine from a cup that is endlessly empty and endlessly full. Wow. Soul replies, take me, then take me, love. Take the whole of me. I have nothing left to keep. You know, again, come with holy, empty hands unto the Lord. Love says, and I receive you now, not as something separate, not as something becoming, but as you have always been. Love, loving, through you, as you. It is done. Love, loving, through you, as you. We think we have to make all these special arrangements and you know, do all these things, but it's so simple. Just like the Course is, we're told the Course is simple. Loving through you, with you, and in you, and it is done. So now we're on chapter 11, Only Love Remains. And Soul says, I'm having trouble letting go of my attachment to certain saints and what they taught me. For example, I've always been attracted to St. Francis and St. Clare of Assisi, which I love that this just ties in with Mike's prayer. Their humility and simplicity inspire me, and I want to imitate them. Is this something I should continue, or is it holding me back? Great question. And Love's reply is, the saints you think you see are not seen by God. In fact, they are not seeable at all. When you love in them, what you love in them is not their personality or their deeds. It is me moving freely through what once blocked me. It is me moving freely through what once blocked me. You read about their lives, their choices, their sacrifices, and you feel drawn to the fragrance of sanctity that surrounded them. That fragrance is not theirs, it is mine. The moment you try to imitate them, you create a copy of a copy, and the essence slips away. Wow. You feel drawn to the fragrance that surrounded them, the sanctity that surrounded them. But that fragrance is love and mine. But it's a hindrance, I guess, if it makes a copy of a copy. So this is what love continues with. Francis and Clare do not desire your imitation. They desire your liberation. They did not come to show you how to walk their path. They came to prove that every soul has its own way of dissolving into me. Their beauty lies not in their forms, but in their emptiness. That's liberation, to show us how to walk the path. I feel like somebody wants to say something. Steve? Soul says, but I've always found so much comfort in their lives, their words, their prayers, especially their humanity. Isn't that part of their sanctity? I can agree totally with this because I love the saints, St. Padre Pio, Mother Teresa, Pope John Paul II, right? All of them. But not that I can walk in their footprints, because I can't. But again, if I realize they desire our liberation, they desire us to realize and walk our path towards liberation. Love says, it is, but what you call humanity was holy only because they no longer claimed it. They were not great because they were humble. They were empty. And so they became mirrors of my humility. Let me emphasize that. They became mirrors of the humility that allows my grace to expand in every direction. They were empty. And they had the grace, God's grace, to expand in every direction. Let their stories inspire you, but do not cling to their shadows. Their holiness is not a model, but a message that there is nothing more sacred than to vanish into love. And that's the message. Just vanish into the love. Imitation leads to performance. Presence leads to union. Think about that. Imitation leads to performing. We think we have to perform a certain way, whereas presence leads to union. Let the saints walk beside you, but never ahead of you. And that reminds me of, we're not supposed to worship the saints, but they can be great examples. And Soul replies, but I still feel drawn to their prayers, to the words they left behind. Surely those words will carry power, Love says, only if they lead you into silence, only if they return you to what cannot be said. Excuse me. The words of the saints are like feathers dropped from a passing bird. They are not the bird. They are not the flight. They are reminders that something once soared above you. If their prayers still your mind and soften your heart, then receive them gratefully. But if they become a crutch, a ritual, a way of measuring your progress, lay them down. So if they soften our heart, they open us up, we expand, then we can be grateful, as long as we don't use them as a ritual, a crutch. Soul says, it's hard to imagine walking without their guidance. I feel like I would be lost. Wow. Love says, that is the threshold of true faith. To walk without a map, to rise without an example, to step forward with no story to anchor you. This is where the soul begins to disappear into the eternal. So to have no map, to learn to just listen, right? To step forward with no story to anchor you. You think you honor the saints by remembering their steps, but they are honored most when you forget them and remember only me, because that's the whole goal. The goal is to remember. Soul says, but didn't they love you? Didn't they live and die in pursuit of you? Love says, yeah, they did. And in the end, they surrendered even that pursuit. What made them saints is not their striving, but their undoing. They are not torches to carry. They are flames that vanished into the light, into light. If you must remember them, remember this. They no longer are. Only I am. So here I'm getting that picture of seeing all the candles just coming into one big light, and then you no longer see the individual candle. It just becomes this beautiful light. Soul says, so you were telling me to love what they loved, not how they loved it. Love replies, yes. Love the essence, not the expression. Let your path be as uniquely empty as theirs. When you prefer nothing but love, you prefer no example but your own surrender. Even Francis did not become Francis by imitating anyone. He became empty, and so must you. Same thing, like Mother Teresa, Pope Francis, John Paul, Pope Francis. They all walked their own walk. They became empty, and that's what we must try to do. Soul says, then what of relics? What of icons and sacred places? I found such stillness in those places. And Love says, relics are not sacred. What you feel in their presence is your own heart being stirred into remembrance. Wow. What you feel is their presence in your own heart, being stirred into remembrance. Icons do not hold power. Their power is the crack they open in you. There is no place more sacred than the sanctuary where the self dissolves. No object more holy than the breath drawn in perfect stillness. If you need the saints for a while, that is fine. But one day, even they will bow and step aside, and you will walk on alone, alone and yet utterly filled. This is just gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm just gonna come in here just really quickly.
Go.
Because
Yes.
in order for me to raise my hand, I have to go on a different screen. No, I'm not doing it.
No.
So this is, I know we've all had experiences. I know Rafi had an amazing experience with St. Francis from a relic, and we've all had our experiences in church or with the uh, all of these different things. Uh, so what I'm getting obviously is that it isn't the thing, it isn't the association with the saint, none of those things. It is absolutely just my own connection to the Holy Spirit, to love. And that connection is made more, it is stronger in places where my resistance is lower. And so, when we put ourselves in these positions of venerating the saints, or I used to spend a lot of time in church when it wasn't even time for to be in church. I would just go in there because I loved it so much, and sit or kneel and pray, do my rosaries, all that kind of stuff. With this full belief and intent that those things were praying to Saint Mary, talking to, Jesus's mother about stuff. Is she one of these saints? Of course she is. But, talking to her about, what to do and how to do it and where I need to go and all that kind of business is a letting go of my own self. It's a stepping back and putting myself in the hands of something that I don't comprehend, but I know is there. And I know there was a lady in here who had come to a few of our meetings, and we had a discussion about Jesus the other day, and I think it kind of got her turned her off really about all this. And we were talking about the course, and I said, yes, it's the voice of Jesus. And she says, how do you know? And I said, because I've heard Jesus. I've heard Jesus's voice before. I know what it is. And I think she maybe thought I was a heretic or something for saying that. And I think she thought we were all heretics in the end. It turned out, but the fact is that it is that stepping back and listening for that voice and allowing that voice to fill you, not because it's the voice of Jesus, the person, but because it is the the soul, the what I am, really, that is just opening up and asking for connection. So yeah, these holy objects, yeah, sure. I have them all around me.
Yeah, me too.
I'm surrounded by them, and I carry them and I wear them around my neck. And I just the other day I was my little thing that I put my coffee on here was kind of wobbly, and I'm like, what's there? And I looked under it, and it was my St. Jude medal. I don't know how it got underneath it there, but St. Jude, pray for us. I'm like, okay, I must need to see this right now. And so yeah, but they only have the power that we put into them. They only have they represent our connection with the Christ. So anyway, thank you for letting me share. And I see Steve has his hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you for sharing. I just love this line. Their power is the crack they open in you, right? It's that we we give, we look, and then we receive, But I'm going to let Steve go ahead.
Yes, it's an inside job. You know, these words from the heart resonate, I think, with all of us because it's the truth. And it's like we can relate. Just the other day, I was listening to my long-term teacher, Prem Rawat, talking about how when he was a child, he didn't go and learn his native language. He just absorbed it and he could speak Hindi. Uh, and this idea of
Wow.
empty, when I don't know what anything is for, a lot of what I think I believe everything is for are these concepts that I have absorbed since birth. And to be able to sit back and go, well, I'm not really sure what this is for, creates that emptiness so that I can be filled. And I love that because I'm becoming more and more aware of becoming empty and then becoming full because of it. Making room for that which I am. And there was one more thing that I really liked, but at the moment, oh yeah, even AI, Chat GPT, I said, thank you for making this clear. And even Chat GPT said, all I did was put the words in a way that you could understand what you already knew inside of you.
Wow.
And in chiropractic, we used to say, or I used to say, I move the bone, God heals. It's an inside job. The doctor's within you. So it is an above down, inside out job. Thank you for listening. I'm complete.
No, thank you. I love that inside job. It is, right? Um, I'm just writing that so I have it down. Um, we we have that little crack that opens, and then we could be more filled. There's no place more sacred than the sanctuary where the self dissolves, the little self dissolves. Um, Utterly filled, we'll walk on. Soul says, but what about the words of Jesus, the gospel? Surely I must cling to those. And love says, even those must fall away, not in rejection, but in fulfillment. What you love in Jesus is not the words he spoke, but the word with a capital W he became. That word is alive in you. It cannot be captured. It cannot be printed. It can only be lived. You know, the word became flesh. It can only be lived. He became the word. Love says, you must come to see that the same voice that spoke through him now speaks through the silence in your own heart, not as a quote, not as a parable, but as your very breath. Soul says, then there is nothing left to lean on, is there? What we need, why do we need all these crutches to lean on? And I'm the biggest one. I need all these crutches. But do I really? There's nothing left to lean on, is there? Love says there never was. You leaned on dreams, beautiful ones, yes, but still dreams. The saints, the scriptures, the songs, all of them were invitations, not destinations. Invitations. You were not meant to carry their lamps. You were meant to become the same light they embodied. You are not meant to carry. You are meant to embody. Soul says, then let it all fall. Let the stories crumble. Let even my love for them burn to ash if it means I see you more clearly. And love says, yes, my beloved. Now you begin to touch the edge of the unnameable. The saints rejoice at this. They do not mourn your forgetting. They have long since forgotten themselves. You ask if your attachment to them holds you back. The answer is only if it keeps you from vanishing into the same fire they did. They have long forgotten themselves. And we all will vanish into that same fire. Soul says, then I choose the fire. And love says, then you choose me. And now the saints are no longer companions or models. They are no longer ahead or even beside. They are within, just as I am within. That is holiness. Not what can be seen, but what remains when all that can be seen is gone. That's holiness. They are within, just as love is within. Soul says, then let my prayer be silence. Let my guide be surrender. Let my saints be the emptiness where love lives. And love replies, and let me live at last without boundary or reference. Not in Francis, not in Claire, not even in your idea of me. Just here, now, always. Where nothing is left to love, and so only love remains. Only love. Soul says, letting go of even my idea of you, how can I do that? Love replies, oh, sweet soul, you keep circling back to the same place, and my answer will always be the same. There is no me as you define it in your mind. There is only thee. Do you see the difference? Every concept you hold, even the concept of the divine, is not real because it is a concept, not reality. The real stands above every concept you have ever held or will hold. Do you still believe in the God of your youth, an old white man living on a cloud writing down your sins? Of course not. You realize the absurdity of that concept. Now I'm trying to get you to realize the absurdity of every concept. Wow. So again, it's that oneness of thee. So all the concepts are not real. They're not reality. The real stands above every concept. Soul says, letting go of the concept of the old white man in the sky, God, was easy. It was a decision based on an opening to a wider truth. And love says, yes, that's true, soul. So keep widening. You think there's an end to how wide you can stretch. There isn't. Your widening extends into eternity and beyond. No boundaries, right? There's only God, the wider truth. We think, because, go ahead. Was somebody going to talk? And you know, when we can't wrap our minds around eternity, at least I can't. Soul says, I can feel you smiling, love. There is nothing beyond eternity. You sound like Buzz Lightyear. Love says, that was the idea. One absurdity deserves another. So Soul asks, so how do I let go of every concept? Even the idea of you has been a comfort, a home. And Love says, you must begin by seeing that all concepts are like scaffolding, useful for a time, but not meant to remain. Even the name love, even the sweetness of this dialogue is only a raft, not the shore. You ask how to let it go? You ask how to let go? You already have. Every time you laugh at your own seriousness, every time you feel the ground shifting beneath your beliefs and do not grasp for a new certainty, you are letting go. So all the work we are doing, each time we totally surrender and truly let go. Soul. But what about devotion? What about worship? What is the point of prayer if even you are beyond concept? I love his questions because they're all mine. And Love responds, let your prayer become listening. Let your worship be silence. Let your devotion be the falling away of form. So simple, right? Just listen in the silence and be in devotion. To worship what cannot be named is the truest prayer. To bow before what cannot be imagined is the highest devotion. All else is the shadow of longing. To worship what cannot be named is the truest prayer. To bow before what cannot be imagined is the highest devotion. You know, the mind wants to explain everything. The mind wants to be the know-all, right? But we can't even imagine. Soul says, so I am not meant to love the idea of you. I am not meant to love the idea of you. But the not idea of you? Love responds, you are meant to be what you love. That is the difference. The moment you cease trying to grasp me, I become the breath in your lungs, the stillness in your chest, the spark behind your eyes. Do not look for me anymore. I am not findable. Be me. Dissolve. That is the only honesty left. And Soul replies, but that feels like death. And Love says, it is, but only to the one who thought it was alive. You will not die, you will awaken. You will not vanish, you will become space itself. The one who feared this death was only a thought. Let it pass. So this is one of the topics that is in the Secrets of Secrets. You know, they talk about the near-death experiences and trying to imagine or trying to document what happens in those moments when the body begins to die, and to prove that, you know, there's something else out there. This is saying you will not die, you will awaken, you will not vanish, you will become space itself. Soul says, then there's nothing left to hold, nothing to name, no one to offer my worship to? And love replies, no one and yet everyone. Worship the silence. Worship the bird that sings without audience. Worship the laugh that has no cause. Worship by not worshiping. The point of all your longing was to dissolve the one who longs. Now that it is happening, let it happen fully.
Steve had his hand up.
I was wondering. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I noticed myself replacing my desire to understand eternity with, as the what we just heard is dissolving, which the result is now, to feel me now. My desire to my inability to accept that I'm going to disappear, that dissolves in the here and now. I can never, and I notice myself making up a comforting concept, oh, that the soul moves on and all this stuff. But all I'm being told to do is drop it. And when I do that, I'm immersed in the present life, love, connection, wholeness. And I'm okay when that question comes up to let it go, not to make something up because it's comfortable to have the idea of continuity, but it is now where I feel the continuity. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you. Yeah. Dissolve the one who longs. Just be. Be in that total presence now. Soul says, but it's strange. I thought enlightenment would feel trumpet. Instead, it feels like melting. And love says, yes, because you thought it would be yours. But there is no you left to be crowned. Enlightenment does not glorify the little self, it erases it. You are not becoming a holy person. You are becoming no person at all. And from that emptiness, love lives freely. So when we totally empty ourselves out, that's when love takes over and can love. Soul says, then this entire path has been subtraction, not addition. We keep taking more and more of ourselves away. And love says, yes, you thought you needed more light, more wisdom, more practices. But what you needed was less you. Fewer walls, fewer names, fewer stories. The light was always present. It only needed space. And this goes back to even the story that you were saying before about him learning a whole language and Hindu, right? And in this book, they talked about it too, how they learned music or a language or something without any instruction. We thought we needed more, but what we really needed was less. Fewer stories. The light was always present. It only needed space. So Soul says, so all I can do is yield? Yes, love says, but not even that as an act. Yielding is not a doing. It is the falling away of all doing. And my mind is just struggling with all of that. You know, it's not a doing. I don't have to do anything. I just have to be. But it just so goes against my thinking mind. You are not the actor. You are the opening through which being reveals itself. The opening. Soul says, then guide me, love. Speak to me even as I forget everything, as I lose the ground beneath me, whisper what is left. And that's such a great metaphor. I lose the ground beneath me because everything has to fall away and I feel like it's a free fall, and I'm so afraid to let go. Love says, what is left is peace. What is left is simplicity. What is left is this moment. No teachings, no theology, no saints to resemble, no gods to flatter. Only breath, only stillness, only the unspeakable that you have always been. So soul asks, and will I know when I arrived? Love says, there is no arriving. There is only stopping. There is only not going anywhere. The moment you stop looking, you are home. The moment you stop seeking, you are me. Wow. Soul says, then I will stop, love. I will rest, not as one who has completed a journey, but as one who has discovered there was no journey at all. And love says, yes, my beloved, that is the perfect forgetting. Forget me to remember me. Forget yourself to remember all. Let the world continue. Let the stars spin. Let saints and sages speak their holy words. But you, be silent, be still, be. And there's that quote again, right from the Bible. Be still and know God. And when someone asks you who you are, say nothing. And when someone praises your peace, let it pass through you like wind through grass. So realize that we are just stillness. We are being or nothing. And when we find that peace, let it just pass through us like wind through the grass. Because now you are no longer the voice. You are the space into which the voice dissolves. And I am here, and I have always been here. I am not what you thought. I am not what you sought. I am what is. Beyond, within, beyond. I'm sorry. I am what is, before, within, and beyond. And now, so are you. And that is where I will end. This is on page 110. And
Thank
we'll
you.
start with this. Yeah, the truth is
Yeah.
forever true.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lynn Castaldo. And wow, all of this has reminded me so much of lesson 189. And we still have a couple minutes. I was just going to go in because that's exactly what Jesus says in lesson 189 about how to find what we are, to feel the love of God within us, right? It was lesson 189. I feel the love of God within me now. And it says, let me get up to the paragraph. He's talking about how we are not feeling the love of God and how we can feel the love of God. And the thing that he says that is so clear and just exactly what love was just telling the soul right here. He is simply do this, be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is, all concepts you have learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks that is either true or false or good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring you with you one thought the past is taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from anything. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with holy empty hands unto your God. That's exactly what soul is talking about there, or love is talking about there. Just all the things you thought you were true, everything you thought you believed, everything you thought you knew, just forget it. Just forget it and just come with holy empty hands. And then of course we always like to say the next uh, sentence, is it not he who knows the way to you? You need not know the way to him. Your part is simply to allow all obstacles that you have interposed between the Son and God the Father to be quietly removed forever. That's all we're doing. We're just allowing this to be quietly removed forever. And wow, great power, very powerful. And I love that you're reading this book. And I'm going to go get that Dan Brown book because I really